On the GameFace Footy Show today from the St Andrews Brewery, great to be here. Plenty to talk about in the world of the Mornington Peninsula Football Netball League. We'll look at teams of the week. We'll have a look at what's happened to the SEFNL, which finishes up at the end of the year, and why those clubs were not allowed into the NFL for season 2018. Kris Fawcett, the new president of Somerville, will join us, one of the second division teams who got beaten by Coringal. And we'll also speak to two of the young stars of the undefeated high-flying Mount Eliza under-19 team, the leader of the goal-kicking in First Division, Sam Sturt, and also the tackling machine, the captain of the team, who's also playing some senior footy, Bailey Breen. And we'll look at our new segment with Tony Blackford, a regular panellist on our show, which of course is Memory Lane. So much to happen on the Footy Show from St Andrews Brewery. Yes, wonderful to be here. New location today. For some easy to find, for others impossible to find, but one of the nicest places in the world. The beautiful St Andrews Brewery, only been open since December last year at Fingal. For those that are unsure of that of course is down the bottom of the beautiful Mornington Peninsula, near the Cape Shank Golf Course, near the beautiful National Golf Course. Lots of beautifuls in there, and this is just a sensational surrounding to sit back and have a lovely day, watch the footy, and particularly in summer, I dare say, to be absolutely packed. But we're here today for the Footy Show, the third Footy Show for GameFace, and gee, as we said in the intro, there is a lot to talk about. Good to have Tony Blackford with us once again. Welcome, Tone.
Hey Dan, just down the road there's a maze, and I reckon you must have got stuck in that because
we got stuck in a lot of other things, Tone, to get here today.
We just couldn't get you here, Dan.
No, cut lunch and a mat, and all the boys got me here eventually, but direction's not one of my strong points unless I learn it off by heart. Now, been a tough few weeks for Josh Moore, but he's nice and happy as we're all wearing our beanies from the big freeze day yesterday, and even though Rye got beaten on Saturday, Josh, I think we've all got a smile on our faces after we raised over $2 million. Australia raised over $2 million for MND to try and fight MND. $4 million with the government putting in $2 million, and it was a great day, wasn't it?
Yeah, awesome day. Good to be back there. Thanks for having me. Has been a tough few weeks for the Rye boys, but it was good for my other football team, Collingwood, to get a good win.
Gee, they're playing good footy.
At the big freeze yesterday, yeah.
They're playing great footy.
Yeah, really happy for Bucks. He's stuck
Well, he's been under the pump,
He's
hasn't he?
been under the pump for a couple of years, and the club stood by him, and it's good to see him reward them back with a great win yesterday.
And Chris Holcomb's with us once again. G'day, Chris. You were shaking your head. You're not a Collingwood man, Chris, are you?
Definitely not, mate. Definitely not. You can have that. But happy to be back, mate. Always exciting to be with you, mate.
Yeah, well, I always make it exciting, don't I, Chris? Thank you very much. I think I'm
You've
going
got
to be...
around the traps again this week, Dan, haven't you?
I've been everywhere. I've been following people until today, and as I say, I don't know how to read a map, Tone, but and I don't know how to do my shoelaces up either, but I can tell you who's won all the Brownlows since 1924, which is miscellaneous information. Can we thank our hosts today, of course, St Andrews Brewery, and we're having a little bit of a sample of the product. St Andrews Beach, the Snapple Australian Lager, which is absolutely fantastic. In the words of Molly Meldrum, do yourself a favour. Now, it has been a big week in footy. Can we talk about SEFNL? It's a competition in dire straits. They had one game on the weekend. It was a match pushed forward from July. The other 6 teams will play that round on their own in a few weeks' time. Cranbourne second on the ladder, Doveton were 8th on the ladder, and Cranbourne, Chris, have won by 211 points. It's a sad, sorry state of affairs.
It's not an exciting place to be at the moment, and that's probably the strength of our league this year with the Division 1, Division 2 concept. You don't get blowouts anymore. It's really tight games. You don't know who's going to win. On the flip side, you're looking at a competition that's going in the gurgler, and you're getting those sort of things. It's not good for footy, though.
And we've spoken about that, Dan. Like off air, like Doveton are in all sorts of trouble. Cranbourne have been a powerhouse, and they're really pushing strong to come into our competition. They've got 8 teams in that competition over the last couple of years. Hampton Park and Keysborough have gone to the Southern Division, Southern Football League.
But Druin and also Warragul want to come in.
Do they?
They've been wanting to come in for ages, but the Gippsland League have said no. We went down and spoke to Darren Sidebottom for a sponsors interview. He's the president of Pakenham, Josh, on Thursday, and look, they were very keen to come into our competition, as we all know. They've thought about the Eastern League, but they've got the Netball Girls, so the Netball Girls are part of their league, so they've got to go to the Yarra Valley Mountain District competition. They were very keen on West Gippsland, which is just down the road, but West Gippsland are protecting their patch, saying that they're too big a town to go into that competition. Yeah. Although I think Tooradin will probably go in. Will probably go in, but they're the only ones at this stage. Do you think Cranbourne will come in to the NPNFL?
I hope they do. I really
hope they do.
Of course they do. Yeah.
Well, how do you think it will work though, Josh? Like, we've all got our thoughts.
Yeah.
But that means that we're going to have 13 and 10.
No. So what I would think is Cranbourne come into Division 1.
Right.
And then the bottom 2 teams from Division 1 would go down. So
it'll be 14 in Division 1 and Division 2?
No, well there's 12 at the moment.
Or 13.
2 go down.
Yeah.
And then the premiers from Division 2 go up, and Cranbourne come in, which keeps it at 12.
At 12. And so you have
there's 12 now.
So 2 sides will drop out.
Yeah, so the bottom 2.
So you have a bye in Division 1. Does that work?
No.
Well, it's happening this year. It's happening this year.
A bye?
Well, there's 12 teams this year.
Yeah, 12, yeah.
There'll be 12 next year.
But you'd have 11 in Division 1.
No. The bottom 2 teams would go down. Let's say it's Seaford and Rosebud.
Yes.
Let's say Dramana win the grand final in Division 2, they go up.
Dramana and Cranbourne go in.
Dramana and Cranbourne go in, which makes it a really strong Division 1, which it already is.
But
it stay at 12.
There are, of course, teams that don't want to travel. Now, I was lucky enough to go down on Thursday to the Frankston Bombers, and I thank them for the way that they looked after us. We had a magnificent night down there. Yeah, stick fat with the bat. Oh, yeah. And we had a long chat to Chris Sharman, who, of course, is the president of the Frankston Bombers. And he was the man that probably started the process last year. We know that John Anderson,
one of the instigators,
general manager or the CEO of AFL South East, was keen on the Sefnal rejoining the Mornington Peninsula Netball Football League to try and make it a 3-division competition. But Chris Sharman was hell-bent on ensuring that that didn't happen and got most of the other presidents on board. This is what he had to say.
I've been around for a long time. I was around the last time the Sefnal clubs were here. I think it took us quite a few years to get over that part of our history.
What do you mean by that?
By that, the gates, we didn't have very good gates. We didn't travel out there very well, and they didn't travel here very well. So it's all about revenue raising, making money, and at that time we just weren't. And our supporters, recruiting wise, obviously Mount Eliza was down the road. We try and recruit players, and they'd say no, we're going to play at Mount Eliza because they're in a different competition. So we couldn't get recruits here to go and play obviously H. Doveton and Berwick up the road. And they wouldn't do it. So I know there's been a fair bit of time since then, but it wasn't going to be a good fit for our club. Quite a few other clubs thought the same thing. So obviously you get good people around you that are smart. I'm a bit of a bull, so get some good people around that know how things work. And obviously Anthony from Rosebud and my mate Mick Dunn at Mount Eliza and a few others, and Bernie Barmer down at Sorrento, and some smart people, and we sort of banded together and to make sure that it didn't happen. So
stick fat with the bat, Chris Sharman, with his views, of course, Tony, on why he felt, and he was so strong against the move of the Sefnal teams coming in. I'm not convinced that the stronger Mornington Peninsula teams would have started a folder like he thinks they would, but at the end of the day, he was able to push forward
we've all
to
got
go
our
their
thoughts.
way. Absolutely.
Always got our thoughts, Dan. And look, he's very strong on his opinions. And the way I see it is that we have, if Cranbourne or Tooradin do come in, then that starts a 3rd division. But and I've spoken about it before, getting South Mornington, Chelsea Heights, Morty Alley, Skye, Karen Patterson Lakes, all in the lower tier division, and we're still going up the Nepean Highway, Josh.
How long do you think that'd take to come in a 3rd division to bring Skye and Morty Alley who are...
Well, it might take 2 or 3 years, but I think what we've done over the last...
So you want those teams in?
Well, I've harped on that for a number of years, Dan, and I think that those sort of sides, they're playing in Southern Division. So why wouldn't they play under the Mornington Peninsula banner when they're Mornington Peninsula?
So if that takes 2 to 3 years and Cranbourne, their competition's folding up this year, what do Cranbourne do next year?
Well, I'm not too sure about that, Josh, but the only way I see it is that at the moment we've just had a big change the last 12 months. So let's find our feet and let's just take a breath and settle in, and then have a plan moving forward for 2 or 3 years to get these other clubs involved.
Are we being a bit conservative though, Chris? I mean, don't we need to push the league forward? Don't we need to keep changing?
I think
and
the-
by changing, it'll be better for the competition in the long term?
Well, obviously the latest change has been fantastic, and we've seen the results of that through. Whether you let that settle for a couple of years and fester there and then try to build around that, or you just go, listen, we're making a lot of
Bang,
changes,
bang,
let's
bang.
just go
But the
and
issue-
see where it comes out.
The issue for Cranbourne and Narre Warren, for example, they haven't got time. They haven't got 2 or 3 years. That they're deciding right now what they're going to do for next year.
Yeah.
So if we send them away and then ask them to come back in 2 or 3 years,
They might never come back.
Yeah.
exactly right. So I think we have to
But-
take
but
them
part
in.
of
Too far for Narre Warren, but I agree with Cranbourne.
Yeah.
Cranbourne's-
I think Narre Warrens and Eastern Football Leagues, and I think they are, well, they're an outer suburb of Melbourne. I don't
Yeah.
think they're a country team. They're an outer suburb of Melbourne, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. No, that'll work, Cranbourne.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. Let's look at what's happened on the field. Sorrento have had a win over Frankston YCW. Chris, I asked you last week, 3 losses in a row. Was it a crisis for YCW? 4 consecutive defeats now. Must be a crisis.
No.
No,
not a
I don't
crisis.
I reckon it's a
I've just done
crisis.
a little bit of research through. I love people jumping on the YC bandwagon and saying they're over and all this sort of stuff. And I said last week, you've got to understand that they're a different team than they were the last couple of years. If
Did
you
they
look,
have 11 people unavailable on the weekend?
well, I just had a look at it in tone. Thanks for leading into that. Sorrento on Saturday had 14 players from their premiership team. YC had 7 from last year. 7 players out of 22 that they had from the field, which
Yep.
is unbelievable. Had a look at round 1. Sorrento were nearly at full strength that day. YC were thereabouts. YC had 10 missing out of their round 1 side from only 10
Yeah.
rounds.
So what do you think their mindset would be? I mean, I don't know the league like you guys know them. I
Right.
don't know YC like you guys know them. Would they not be panicking?
I've known YC for a lot of years. They don't
Yeah.
panic. What they'll do is they'll get their players back gradually. They'll win enough games to qualify for finals, whether that's 4th or whether that's 3rd.
And then
That'll
go
come
back.
down, and then they'll go whack. And
You
you
reckon?
will not want to play them in a finals game at Frankston. They lift. All their good players lift. They've got experience across the board. Do not write these people
At the
off.
same time, though, they would have lost 4 games in a row
No.
in the last.
They haven't had a team like this
No.
Yeah.
ever. Like,
And Chris, they're, I know they lost on the weekend, but by all reports, they got within 2 points midway through that last quarter, Dan. And then Sorrento was able to kick 3 goals, and YC kicked the last goal.
I think they got great benefit out of the weekend. They nearly pushed Sorrento with a side of 7 players from their best
Yeah.
side from last year.
How's
That's
that?
fantastic.
How well was Sorrento trained?
Sorrento are fine. That's okay. They're going great. They're a good side. They had the majority of their good players out on the field Saturday. Great. They beat YC. Great. They only beat them
Tapscott
by-
never played for Sorrento, so
Yeah.
that he was one, and probably Chad Harris. They're
Yeah.
probably 2 blokes off their best side. Would that be right?
Yeah, and we're not having to go at Sorrento saying it was sort of a false win. It's great. It's always a good win
It was
against
always-
YC.
yeah.
Mentally for him to get over that hurdle, fantastic. But YC got so much in the tank back end, and we've seen what they do at finals time, so you cannot write them off.
How do you think Eddie Asper going compared to last week, comparing last year to this year? How do you think Eddie Asper comparing this year?
Edias are the side that are going to go on. Like Edias, Sorrento, YC at this stage, top 3. I think Mount Eliza are doing well.
Not
What
far
they
away
have.
either.
They're not. They're thereabouts.
But
on
I think Mount Eliza might end up getting that top 3 spot ahead of YC, just purely on manpower at the moment.
100%. Look, YC might drop a couple more games, but again, if they qualify 4th, you don't want to play them. You do not want to play them at Frankston.
Now, that was a mighty struggle talking about Eliza, wasn't it? I mean, it was the
game,
most
Dan.
intriguing game of football. I mean, Mount
Once-
Eliza kicked all their goals in the first half,
And
and
Dan
the Bombers kicked all their goals in the second half and just fell short by 3 points. How costly will that loss be for the Bombers? They're now in 6th position with a record of 5-5.
Yeah, well, I mean, you talk about close games, that's another close game, but for a senior side not to kick a goal after half-time and win, and only have 4 on the board, remarkable. It was a beautiful day too, Dan.
Was it windy?
No, it wasn't at all.
No.
And with that game too, just to cap,
What was the problem with it?
Well-
just so defensive, Chris, wasn't it?
no, I don't think that was it. I think it was just one of those weird games where nothing sort of pans out, sides are turning over the ball in between the arcs, and it just didn't work out for them. They both got really good defences. A quick note on it, I know Frankston Bombers have lodged a letter of query with the league. There was 2 100-metre penalties, which resulted in 2 goals. So in a game where you've only kicked 4, that's a pretty
200 metre.
Same umpire, same doubtful situation. So they've asked for a please explain and a letter to the league about that one. So stay tuned.
I mean, what's going to happen?
Nothing.
Just
Nothing.
the umpire will be dropped, maybe.
No, I don't think they can. They haven't got the numbers.
Numbers.
Yeah, they haven't. But I don't think he'll be umpiring Bombers game again for the rest of the year.
So is the top 5 settled?
Do you want me to tell you? Yes, it is.
Do you think it's settled? You
We're
don't
going to
think
go
the Bombers
through
can
it
get
later.
in?
We're going to go through it later.
Yeah, we'll go through the later, a bit later.
Yeah, Bombers will really struggle from here on because Pines are back in town. You've got YC 4th, and you've got Mount Eliza, Edithvale, and Sorrento have won enough games. So they've got to push either Pines out, which they'll struggle, or YC. So I think YC will win enough back end to push them out.
Frankston's list is a very good list.
Great list.
Really good list, Dan. And they've just got to be lucky enough. You know, they lost to Mount Eliza first time round by a kick. They lost to Mount Eliza second time round by a kick. They lost to Bomb Beach by a kick. So, you know, there's games.
They haven't won the close ones, which at the end of the day plays the role, doesn't it?
YC 3 goals, they were 2 goals. They were up at 3/4 time. And it's not saying that's just what the competition's like. It is even, and you have to be on the right end of the stick. And especially going on back end, you're going to have to push a few good teams out.
Now, Kris Fawcett's going to join us shortly. Of course, he's the new president of the Somerville Football Club. We talked about the bad kicking of Frankston YCW. We talked about, of Frankston Bombers. We talked about the bad kicking of Mount Eliza. I would have thought for Somerville, Josh, bad kicking's bad footy, but they still played pretty well. They pushed the second place Coringal all the way. But when you kick 8-20, you probably don't deserve to win a game of footy. Sorry, Chris, we'll talk to you about that very shortly. What do you think? I mean, that was pretty tough for them. I thought they played some good footy, but again, they couldn't finish off their conversion.
Yeah, obviously one of the big blockbuster games on Sunday, and I think Somerville has probably been a bit of a story of their year. They've been in every game, but kicking 8 goals, 20 is the difference between winning and losing at the end of the day, and they'll probably go and kick themselves at training, kick themselves in the foot, try and kick some goals at training, I guess. But and I think another thing, having their coach Everett out as well probably didn't help on the weekend.
Yeah, well, they need him in that team, don't they?
So they're going to struggle, Dan.
You don't think they'll make it now?
Well, I just think that my report, and Chris will talk about it, that Everett will be out for the rest of the year.
Gee, that's a big loss, isn't it?
Very close.
Because he's so important to them, isn't he?
He is indeed. And it's tough, that back end. You just need all your players on the field at that time, especially in that competition again, it's so close.
Josh, do you enjoy coaching at the moment?
Yeah, I do. I love it. I hate losing. Absolutely hate losing. But my passion for coaching has not wavered since I've been given the role. I still love and enjoy the job and what it brings. And the highs are worth it. I haven't had a high for a couple of weeks, but the highs are worth it at the end of the day, as Blackers would know.
Yeah.
I'm still a young coach, still really passionate and driven to get the job done. And it's hard backing up after a couple of close losses, with 3 in a row now. But I can see light at the end of the tunnel for sure.
I thought you were good early. I mean, particularly into the wind of the first quarter, you sit and take your chances, and you said that at quarter time. But the third quarter was the one that cost you.
Yeah, well, we had Tommy Baker, our big full forward, go down in the third quarter. And as soon as he went down, he went off on the stretcher. 15 minutes after he went down, Chelsea kicked 4 goals in 15 minutes. That was the game. That was dusted.
Yeah.
So how do you get back on track? You've got some games that you should win in the next couple of weeks. Mind you, we all thought Devon Meadows would beat Tyab, and Tyab had that unbelievable last quarter.
Yeah.
So you've got some matches that will again be a challenge, won't you? Because a winning feeling is a great feeling, but if you're losing matches, it's pretty hard to find that winning feeling.
Yeah, we just need to get back on the winners list. It's as simple as that. It gives belief, it gives confidence, and confidence is a big thing for a young group like ours. And look, Devon Meadows is never an easy job.
Always hard, Dan.
Never easy.
And unfortunately, a couple of years ago, was it last year? I think it was last year. Rye went there, and you were unfortunate to get it on that day where.
No, I think that was 2 years ago.
Was it? Yeah.
What about Sunday's match? Great performance by Red Hill. They did what Tyab did on Saturday. They kicked 7 goals in the last quarter to beat Romano, who stayed in it because of their accurate kicking after a quarter time, beating by 28 points. It's all over Red Rover. But they hung in there, Red Hill, and Romano have suffered their first loss. Now, they won't lose too much sleep over that, Josh, will they? But they'll be disappointed to drop one. But Red Hill looking okay, and they're a game and a half clear now.
Really opens up the gap now, Josh. From 5th to 6th, 7th, 8th. And that win on the weekend by Red Hill was fantastic. To kick 7 goals up until 3/4 time and then kick another 7 in the last quarter, and they really went over the top of Granada.
Yeah, well, it just goes to show how good Red Hill are at home. There's quite a few teams with home ground advantages, but not as many as Red Hill.
That's why that win up there for you a couple of weeks ago was wonderful win.
We haven't won up there for 7 years as a footy club, so to go up there and to get that win.
Why is it hard to win?
Well, it's a big open ground, and I do love playing up there. And when you get days like today that it's overcast and raining and all that sort of stuff, sides really don't enjoy the road trip up there.
No.
And I remember when I used to coach against Red Hill, we used to go up there with really good sides, but the mindset of the players is very hard now. Yeah. Very hard.
Well, are they going to be in the final? Red Hill, you think they're a game and a half clear at the moment?
Well, I think that they are good enough to be a top 3 side.
Really?
Yeah, they really do.
And Dramana or Kringle at the moment, Chris? I mean, Kringle are just doing everything right, aren't they? They were solid again. Dramana, some of their first loss, they've been pretty good. They're probably the 2 to beat, aren't they?
At this stage,
Chelsea are pretty good too.
Chelsea aren't bad, but I think Dramana showed them on a small ground they got them on the outside. So when you get to finals football and you're playing on a bit bigger ground, I think Dramana's on the outside. Yeah, I think they'll do well. Kringle are just warming up. Like they took a little while. They took a lot of players into their side. They had a new coach. They're just starting to tick along. They had a couple of losses close, but besides that, they've been okay. So we'll see how they go.
Well, we've played every team in the top 5 now.
Yeah.
We're sitting 6th or 7th, but we've played every team in the top 5. And from what I've seen, obviously Dramana are really good on the outside, really quick, really slick. But the most consistent and even team that I've seen that we've come up against is certainly Chelsea. They were really impressive on the weekend, and I think they've got some stronger bodies on the inside, but they've also got a lot of class on the outside. So I'm pretty bullish about where they can go for the rest of the year.
Well, plenty to talk about. We had Kris Fawcett, the president of Somerville, to join us very shortly. We've also got a couple of stars of Mount Eliza. They've got one of the best junior programs in football in Victoria. And we've got Sam Sturt, who is dominating the under-19 goal kicking, kicked 6 on the weekend to lead the competition. And his captain, they call him the tackling machine, Bailey Breen, will join us as well. And as we mentioned a bit earlier, we're also going to be talking a little bit more about our great segment, you and Naitana. It was wonderful to be at your place last week, overlooking Frankston Beach. That was a beautiful day in Frankston last week. It was, yeah. We had a great time, and we chatted about everything to do with footy and fishing and everything else that exists in Tony Blackwood's life, which is the first of our, of course, memory lane sections. But back with more shortly, and it's a great pleasure to be here at St Andrew's Brewery on the Mornington Peninsula for our GameFace Footy Show. In the second division, the goal kicking looks like this. In the seniors, Jesse Murphy kicked just 1 for Langwarren, but hangs on to the lead on 34. Bywater of Chelsea 1 to go to 33. Hewitt of Hastings kicked 4 to put himself in contention. He's on 31. Rolf of Somerville kicked 1, he's 27. Ethan Johnston of Dramana 1 to go to 27. And Michael Theodoriadis kicked 5 from Devon Meadows, despite their loss to Tired. He's on 25. In the reserves goal kicking in second division, Richard Mathers 1 to go to 25 for Kringle. Scott Sterling didn't kick any for Rye, remains on 24. Andrew Silver also didn't add to his 18 goals for Chelsea, and the same for Luke Clark from Chelsea, he's on 15. In the under-19, Shannon Reid has shot to the top from Langwarren with 7. He's on 26. They had a big win. Logan Sanford didn't kick any, he's on 25 from Red Hill. Ryan McNamara from Kringle on 24. Jay Treep of Rye also didn't kick a goal on 23, and Aidan Holden of Somerville didn't kick a goal. He's also on 23. Welcome back to the GameFace Footy Show. We thank the St Andrew's Beach Brewery for having us here today. It's magnificent, having a wonderful time. And I'm having just one at the moment. I'm having the strap at the St Andrew's Beach Fine Coastal Brewing Strapper. It's a lovely drop tone. I know you don't drink, but I'm enjoying it.
I'm going down quite nicely.
Well, you are having one. I've never seen you drink before, Tone. A bit worried about you. I'm having this good effect on you, I think.
Well, that's what it was.
What do they say? What do they say about
turning me to drink?
People who don't
You
drink?
drop it?
Got to watch it.
You have to watch
Don't
it.
trust them.
Now, it's a wonderful pleasure to welcome the president of the Somerville Football Club, his first year as president, taking over from Andy Palmer, Chris Fawcett. Chris, I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
How do you reckon your footy club's travelling this year?
Well, as I heard you guys discuss earlier, it's a very even competition, the Div 2. There's basically a couple of games that separate probably second on the ladder down to about 8. And each week we've been in most games. Bad kicking's bad football. We've probably kicked ourselves out of a couple of games.
And especially losing a couple of games early in the season, Chris, at home against sides that you would think that you should beat.
Yeah, I must admit, going into those days, you know, turning up in the morning, going in with a bit of confidence, good team on paper, and then to watch us kick, I think 2 goals 9 in one quarter against Devon.
Yeah.
Again on the weekend we kicked 2 goals 7 in a quarter. That sort of stuff, it really hurts us.
So you're certainly getting the ball inside, aren't you?
Inside 50s, like the stats show that we're leading a lot of sides at half time or 3/4 time on the inside 50s. But then we look at the scoreboard and then we tend to get overrun last quarter. Some injuries have hurt us along the way, but that's no excuse. Every side has their injuries.
You kicked 4 or 6 in the third quarter, got within 5 points at 3/4 time. You must have been feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I was confident. I was sidelines, the boys seemed up and about, and then
4-6, that's 10 shots a goal. That's a really good down.
Yeah, and the forwards have been lively all year. Billy Ross has been doing a fantastic job up forward. Nathan Gillis is chipping in out of the midfield. Andreas, until unfortunately got hurt, was running around kicking a few.
So been playing again this year?
At this stage, it's not looking likely. It's unfortunate. Yeah, he's got a bad Achilles injury.
So if you happen to be in contention for the finals, I bet you'd find a way.
I would love to find a way. We'll see what we can do.
Well, can you make the finals, or do you think it's too far a bridge to travel at the moment?
As Tony said, we've got to take full advantage of our home games. We've got two good ones coming up against Red Hill and Langwarren, and that's our season on the line.
Yeah, and you've got to beat, because at the moment, with Red Hill beating Germana last week, Dan, it's a 6-point gap now, isn't it? So if they go out and win this week and get that 10-point gap on you, I think the season's over.
That's correct.
So it's important that the clubs like Langwarren and Somerville keep winning.
You've got pretty good support, haven't you? What was the crowd like on Sunday? I mean, it's not very often that matches are played during the season on a Sunday. Is it something you'd like to do more often?
Oh, it was fantastic, and it was great to get down to Kringle. It's our first time in a long time with the restructure. Kringle have obviously got their brilliant new setup, and our supporters always travel well, so it was a really good day.
And especially because the Farrellies and Buddhahurst and a few of the boys that have gone back to their home club, Cal Dixon, they've all played and had spent time at Somerville. So for them to come back and playing against blokes that they know.
That's correct. Yeah, it was a bit of a bittersweet for both sides, I suppose. With Justin being a past captain and obviously Buddha past coach, and yeah, it was good. It was the game was played, in good spirits. Good spirits. So yeah, it was great.
Reserves and under-19 should play finals this year. Terrific bonus for the footy club.
Yeah, going fantastic.
Always had great under-19.
Yeah, and that's the trick for us as a club. That's a challenge that we've got off the field. We've got to embrace our juniors and look after them moving forward, because Somerville has been strong at junior level, and that's something we really need to look after.
In this second division, most clubs have got the challenge of getting used to the 2 divisions, but one club that doesn't is Crib Point, and myself and Matt were lucky enough to be there on Saturday, and we spoke to their new vice president who's been heavily involved with the juniors, the Balnarian, in Mark Lawton, and he said for them, nothing to do with first and second division, it's all about trying to find players every single week, and he was very honest when we spoke to him on Saturday.
3, 2, 1.
It's Mark Lawton, the Vice President of Crib Point, who's been a handy addition off the field to Crib Point. And I mean, Chris, that's the issue that they've got. It's great that their reserves won on the weekend, their under-19s won, their seniors just were okay after half-time. They were blown away in the second quarter by Pearsdale. But most other clubs are okay, but they're a club that continue to struggle for numbers, and it's still a bit of an issue, isn't it? It's not as bad as it was, though.
No, it's a challenge for all clubs, and it's depending on results. So Somerville this year, we've been fortunate enough, we've got a competitive side, so we're seeing guys turn up on the track. But from about this time of year moving forward, you'll see a lot of clubs struggle with their reserves.
It's the hardest 6 weeks of the year, Dan. You know, you've got your first 6 weeks that are coming off a big pre-season. There's all hope and excitement, but the reality is, come the middle of the year, when you're June and July, shortest days of the year,
Weather hits in.
it's the hardest time.
And you know you can't make it.
gets hard.
It does.
I think what has to be done is it's all the work's got to be done back in October and November, and obviously senior coaches go out and do a bit of recruiting and try and build their kids up. But I think it comes onto the reserves coach. The reserves coach actually has to do a bit of work October, November and get his squad up to about 25, 30 players, get on the phone, get some ex-players back so he's got a big base of players for the reserves, because, as Blake has said, this time of year when there's a few injuries hit, middle of winter it starts to get a little bit cold, your team's not going to play finals, the numbers drop away a lot. So if you've done the work back in October, November and you build up your base of players, it makes it easier this time of year.
Chris, as president, it is your first year.
That's correct.
The challenges, are they what you thought they'd be?
The challenges, yeah, they are. There's always the day-to-day stuff of having home games and getting up and about and getting canteens and all that sort of stuff. That's to be expected. The challenges that I've seen, it's around financial, embracing sponsors, getting the crowd to the games, trying to do something different. I've been around to a lot of clubs and tried to take a little bit to piece and learn from other clubs. But it's still putting on 3 or 4 games of footy each week and the netball and making it a place for people to want to come and enjoy the art.
It becomes a big role now, Dan. Like football in the last 20 years has just grown. We've got girls involved now. You know, back in the day when I was starting to play, there was no girls and no netball. So there's 3 or 4 sides. So it's become a big community.
You've got to embrace netball, don't you?
Oh,
it's such an important part
girls
of the fabric, aren't they?
Girls are a huge part of growing a club.
Yeah. And with that, if the players become, football can go and embrace the netball embrace, and then sponsorship crossover. Sorry, but yeah, it's about embracing both teams, because the sponsorship can flow into each other, and then the results will flow, and then they'll support each other, and off we go.
So some great news also, Chris, for the Somerville Footy Club. It looks like they're going to get the award for Mark of the Year, as the Somerville player took Mark of the Year. As we have a look at that shot now, sensational. Must win it, don't you reckon? I mean, he's flying over about 3 or 4 players.
It's going to be a hard one to beat.
Was it one grabber?
Yeah, I believe so. Like Luke flies for a couple every match, and then that one managed to stick.
He certainly got up high.
And he's a tall boy anyway. He'd be over 195.
Yeah, he's touching nearly.
What did he do last year? He went over to America?
Yeah, he chased a bit of a dream over there, and unfortunately it didn't pan out for him this year. So yeah, he come back to the club at about January, and it was fantastic. We welcomed him back, and
Very good.
yeah, so he's following his dream back in Melbourne, and it's great to have him around. He's a local boy, kicked over 100 goals in juniors, fantastic kid over on the club.
The 2 divisions, do you like it?
I do. I think it's fantastic. As I said earlier, the evenness of the competition. There's no hidings of the work we discussed, as you guys discussed earlier. Crowds that I've noticed this year have been better.
Have they?
Over in the away games, yes. Because no one's going to see a 20-goal flogging. We've seen better gates this year. It's been really good.
Just recapping the results. Tyre, we spoke about it earlier, 7-goal last quarter, beat Devon Meadows by 32 points. Crook Point were beaten in the second quarter, pretty even in the other 3 quarters against Peasdale, 39-87 to 5-6-36. But as we also touched on, they've won the other 19s and reserves and Magpies. Rye battled hard against Chelsea, Josh's team, but unfortunately for Josh and Rye, they went down by 4 goals to Chelsea. Hastings were too good. We spoke to Ricky Ferraro after the match. They beat Langwarren, who again hung in for a long time by 27 points on Sunday. We've just spoken about Coringal beating an accurate Somerville, and a magnificent affair between Red Hill and Dramana. Dramana suffering the first loss of the season, but only by a goal, 14-11-95 to 14-5-89. Now, Blackers, what sort of reaction have you had to your Division 2 team of the week from last week? We're always looking for your response. We've got the Facebook page for the GameFace for the footy show in regard to your team of the week, and the pressure's on us.
Was there any reaction last week, Dan? Or?
I think there was a lot of reaction.
Blackers doesn't have Facebook, that's why he's asking the question.
They thought, what does this man know? Does this man know what he's talking
about?
about?
I didn't hear anything this week, so
no, I
must have got the side right, Josh. Ooh.
You remind me of the great broadcaster Graham Smokey Dawson, and he wouldn't mind me saying this, he loves it, Smokey. Yeah. He's broadcast over 1,800 games, formerly in the ABC. What he does is that he hires someone to come in and check his emails for him. He doesn't even know to put the computer on. Are you a bit like that, Blackers? Does Bernie do all that?
She does all that
everything?
for me.
Of course she does.
She does it all. So I've made
All
a
right,
few
here's
changes
your
this week. Another 5 changes, and it's just purely on what's going on week to week. So Paxton from Kringle stays in the back pocket. So does Adam Kirkwood. The bloke who comes into the other back pocket replaces Patterson is Jai Lloyd. He did an outstanding job on Curtis Bywater last week. Terran Head's still playing good football. Paul Rogash comes in and replaces Jonas Sitterson. I think Rogash has been playing some really good football. Not that Jonas has been out of sorts, but probably his form hasn't been as good as early in the season.
We spoke to Paul Rogash after the game. Lovely fella.
Lovely.
Yeah.
You've been meeting some nice people, haven't you, Dan?
Well, there's some wonderful people. They're all
Hey,
very nice.
the Peninsula's a lovely place.
You're making
Clark-
them feel welcome, Blackers.
Yeah, that's good. Clark from Chelsea stays there. Jocko Mitchell's been in outstanding form from Red Hill. Gardner from Chelsea in the middle, and Wheeler from Dramana out on that wing. Michael Burke, Tommy Baker and Luke Hewitt. Even though the Tommy Baker, he went off on the stretch in that third quarter, he kicked 3 up until then, so next week there might be a bit of an out there. In comes Billy Rolfe. He's had an outstanding year. He replaces Curtis Bywater. Ben Holmes comes in and replaces Jesse Murphy. Holmes comes in and kicks 6 after having a couple of weeks off. Ethan Johnson still holds his spot. Grant Goodall in the ruck. McGuinness from Somerville and Nathan Gillis from Somerville. Breen from Chelsea. Jake Mould and Jono Ross from Red Hill keep their spot. Pryor from Pearstown. Billy Quigley from Dramana, and in for his first appearance, and after kicking 7 against Devon Meadows, Jake Anderson comes into the side.
The match winner.
He kicked 7.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, wonderful result by them. And just on Dramana, last week I went down and I helped my great mate Andrew Brady. The under-19s hadn't won a game, and last year they couldn't field a side. So he's taken the job on of coaching the under-19s at Tyre. And I went down there and helped him out on Tuesday night, and they had 22 blokes on the track. And I don't know whether it was because I went down there to help them, or they had pizza after the game, after training. So I think it might have been the pizza, Dan. What do you reckon?
Oh, I think it might have been the pizza.
Yeah,
That's
so
good.
anyway-
They had a lot of people out there.
Yeah, they had 22 on the track, and they got the result that they needed.
Margarita or wine or a mixture.
They had a bit of a mixture of it. I come in and some kids had 7 and 6 on their plate.
Yes, they did.
There wasn't too many slices left, but they got up and beat Devon Meadows by 7 goals, which was great.
It was all to do with you, Blackers, wasn't
No, I
it?
think it was the pizzas. But Andrew Brady's done a great job there in rallying around and getting kids to be playing football. That's the big thing, the big winner here.
In a word, gentlemen, before we take a break and welcome our special guests from Division 1, into the second half of the season, if they were counting the best and fairest now in the competition, who wins it? Chris?
I'll be biased and say Nathan Gillis.
He's had a good year.
He's had a great year. Josh?
Just having a quick look at.
Tyranny was outstanding, really, mate.
Well, if I'm going to be biased, if it's going to be a Rye guy, it would be Tyranny. He's slowed up the last couple of weeks. He's copping a heavy tag. But I know Nathan Gillis would have got 3 votes against us, and I've watched a few tapes of Somerville when I was doing the homework, and he's had a great year. And he's an on-baller, which they seem to get a lot of, so I'll probably go Gillis as well.
What do you reckon, Blackers?
And then you've got guys at Kringle and Dramana's been
Yeah.
outstanding. Ethan Johnson's been good. Billy Quigley and Wheeler.
Dramana's got a really even spread, though. I don't think
But
they've got standouts.
Gardner and Breen have been playing really well for Chelsea.
Yeah.
Michael Burke from Kringle's been in really good form. Grant Goodall, his ruck work, so he's in the eye of the umpires. So there's a lot of good players out there.
It's up for grabs.
It certainly is. Chris, great to have you with us. Congratulations on what you're achieving at Somerville, and good luck for the rest of the year. We really appreciate you joining us on the program.
Fantastic, guys. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Kris Fawcett, the president of the Somerville Football Club, joining us, looking at 2nd Division. We're back very shortly to look more at 1st Division, and particularly concentrating on this unbelievable football factory that exists at Mount Eliza. Over 20 teams in the juniors, and their under-19s are flying, and 2 of their stars, Sam Sturt, and I love it, the tackling machine, the skipper, Bailey Breen, to join us next here at St Andrews Brewery on the GameFace Footy Show. MP NFL goal kickers after the first part of round 10. Aaron Edwards leading. They play this weekend for the Pines. He's on 29. None last weekend for Jordan Moncrief of Mount Eliza. He remains on 28. Lee Paholke returned from injury for Sorrento, kicked 2 in their 14-point win over Frankston YCW. He's 23. Trent Dennis Lane plays this weekend for Bond Beach on 21. And Jared Grant kicked 1 for the Frankston Bombers. He's also on 21. In the reserves goal kicking, Michael Chaplin is playing a lot of senior footy for YCW at the moment, remains on 25. Tom Loney didn't play for Seaford, he's on 17. They play this weekend. And the same for Jake O'Neill. It's low scoring in regard to the reserves goal kicking. He's on 12 goals for Edith Vale Aspendale. In the under-19s, one of our guests, Sam Sturt, kicked 6 to go to 25 for Mount Eliza. Sam Hart plays this weekend for Edith Vale Aspendale. He's 19. And Tom Wisniewski from Mornington, they also play this weekend. He's on 18.
Bailey.
Sam.
What was the last thing you ate?
Sandwich for lunch. I actually got a double cheeseburger meal from Macca's. So.
What was the last thing you spent? What did you spend money on?
Probably something on the PlayStation, to be honest. Definitely food. Yeah, big food man.
What do you never leave home without?
Probably learned from experience with my ID, so never leave without that. Yeah, I definitely never leave home without my phone.
Worst habit?
Probably biting my nails. Yeah, I'd probably have to say the same.
What's your dream job?
Job in a good law firm. Probably an anaesthetist, just doctor, yeah.
Dream holiday destination?
Greece. Or Hawaii.
What food can't you stand?
Vegetables. Yeah, vegetables.
Blondes or brunettes?
Brunettes. Blondes.
And then give us your best Get Your Game Face On.
Get your game face on. Get your game face on.
Great answers there. The boys having a lot of fun as they just answer those all-important questions, Tone, don't they?
Some very good answers there from the young fellas.
And, of course, we've got two of the good young stars of the Mount Eliza Footy Club in the under-19s and the under-19s competition in general as they continue to dominate. I got it wrong before. How dare me get it wrong? I only get it wrong once in my life. I said they've got more than 20 teams, Mount Eliza.
Well, they have got more than 20.
Well, they have more than 30 junior teams to get it absolutely right. Great pleasure to welcome the leading goal kicker. He had a blinder on the weekend. He kicked 6. And he's looking pretty good. Sam Sturt of the Mount Eliza Footy Club. Good on you, Sam. Good to have you with us.
Pleasure to be here,
And, well, the tackling machine on. It's a great time saying that. I'm sure you're sick of it already. I think you've heard it about 4 or 5 times, Bailey. Bailey Breen is the captain of the team, and he joins us as well. Good on you, boys. Now, the GameFace app. Have you got it downloaded, Sam?
Yes.
What about you, Bailey? You got it?
Yeah, I've had a good way to keep up with scores around the league and such. So.
And Bailey, you've been playing in the seniors?
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to be playing a fair bit of senior football this year. So.
What happened there on the weekend, mate? There was 3 goals to 4.
Just one of those weird days that the game had just played between the arcs.
Just contested footy all day, mate.
Yeah, and then when the ball went forward, there was probably some pretty easy shots missed by both teams.
And it wasn't windy or anything?
Oh, perfect day for football.
Was the football out of shape?
Yeah, possibly, maybe a little bit flat.
Was it too contested?
I don't think so. It was quite scrappy. So when the ball did get out on the outside, both teams just weren't making the moves going forward. So yeah, it's just one of those days.
Was it inferred pressure, Bailey? Because it's such a big game. I mean, the Frankston Bombers almost had their season on the line. You guys are obviously looking to cement a spot in the top 3 in the double chance. Do you think that you thought that you were in more trouble or under more pressure than you actually were, and that's why you might have turned the footy over a bit, as you say?
Yeah, possibly. There was a lot of pressure, I know from us, going into the game, so yeah, I can only imagine what Bombers were thinking with such a big game. So I think that did play into it, but still it doesn't really account for the fact that it was 3-12 or 3.
Was there a big crowd?
Yeah, quite a big crowd, yeah.
And especially because they're only 3 or 4 kilometres down the road
That's
from each
right.
other.
And the two presidents are great mates, as the Bat told me on Thursday night. They're very, very close, aren't they? And probably the greatest rivals, aren't they? I mean, they see themselves as arch rivals, certainly.
Yeah, and you've got to understand, years ago, Dan, Mount Eliza and Frankston used to play each other quite a lot.
Right.
And then Mount Eliza beat us in the premiership in 2001, which was the Frankston Bombers, and then since then they've stayed in Second Division.
It's good that you're playing each other again. Sam, how are you enjoying it? I mean, kick 6 on the weekend. Do you think you're far away from senior selection? Are you getting that impression?
It'd be great to get a senior game, yes, but I'm just concentrating on my footy and concentrating on playing the best that I can. So.
Yeah, there's got to probably, you've got to look at a senior player in that senior side that that spot would be up for grabs, wouldn't it? Because you'd be playing as a smaller forward.
Yeah, obviously it's extremely hard to break into such a dominant side, so if I get my opportunity, then hopefully I can take it with both hands, but just happy to be playing.
Yeah, well, Troy would be certainly playing a lot of younger guys throughout the year. And you've got some guys at Stingrays as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got quite a few guys out for Stingrays that came back. I know that Finn Bay was hoping to get a game, but yeah, once again, just such a strong side.
And kicking 6 on the weekend, obviously it was a terrific performance. Do you get a chance? I mean, that's obviously in the AFL, they don't get much of a chance to practice goal kicking. That's why players miss so much, because they've got the set routine of the rehabilitation and the fitness guys. I would presume at local footy, Sam and Bay, you get an opportunity to practice your goal kicking. And do you do it as much as you'd like to, or would you like to practice your goal kicking more?
No, I probably would like to practice a bit more, but after trainings, obviously, just balls lying around, we can just go back and have shots, and then, yeah, it's a pretty great environment. Boys kick the balls back and, yeah, just get a bunch of shots in. So, it's been good. We still like to have a few more goals.
And Bailey, tell us about your tackling technique. Is there anything unique about it, or is it just something that you've managed to do over the years to ensure that it becomes an important part of your game?
It's nothing too special. I think pressure's probably something that translates pretty well from under 19 footy going up, so that's just something I look to base my game on. That's my role in the team, in the forward line, to bring that pressure, so that's just something I try and do every week.
Yeah, it's important. That small forward role, and you have a look at the Cyril Rios and the Popolos and all those sort of guys. The pressure out of a forward line now is important, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's probably one of the most important parts. That's why Richmond won the premiership last year, and the Bulldogs did so well a couple of years ago. Undefeated on top, boys, in the under-19s. What makes you such a strong junior club? I mean, as mentioned, you've got over 30 teams, which helps. You've had a lot of players drafted. The Jones boys are two that come to mind. Nathan's played over 250 at Melbourne. Zach's a permanent fixture in the Sydney side now. Mount Martha's just down the road. They're a terrific junior club as well. I mean, why is Mount Eliza such a fertile breeding ground for good young footballers, do you think?
Well, I think firstly it just comes from the numbers and the participation that we're getting. I think if you field enough teams, you're obviously going to be unearthing some pretty good talents. And then second on that, the culture in the junior club especially is really good. Well, we both played all of our junior footy there, and some of the best days. So just that environment kind of breeds a good kind of culture to bring up good young players.
And do you think, Sam, because the culture's so good, at the end of the day, winning becomes automatic? I mean, when you're young, I know that some parents like their kids to win at all costs, but I think it's all about learning the game early. Is that what you sort of learnt from Mount Eliza, and then because you learnt the game, the way the game should be played, winning became automatic?
I don't think so much automatic, just at training when we get the sheer numbers that we do, everyone gets down. We just really get to hone in on our skills, and like you were talking about before, the variety that we get for each position, and being able to play each position knowing that we'll have other people to fill our roles.
What sort of numbers do you have during the pre-season? So under 17s, how many blokes come out of that under 17s into the under 19s, and how many kids do you have in the under 19 program?
Yeah, so
because you have more than most clubs.
Yeah, we obviously have a lot. I think we had 3 under 16 teams or under 17 teams. So yeah, obviously.
And then you've got to try and fit that into one.
Yeah. Well, I think we had 36 and 36 under 19 players registered. So obviously we've got a few playing up, but then there's just so many good under 17s as well that have been not only playing up in the 19s but also playing some pretty.
Young Williams, he's playing Stingrays.
Do you lose a few? Do you ever lose a few to other clubs because they just want to play football?
Very rarely.
they still want to just play with their mates down
Yeah,
there,
exactly.
So, and then what's happened in the previous, where other clubs haven't been able to field under 19, Mount Eliza's had a second tier side under the say the Hastings banner or something like that, but it sort of just doesn't work.
Are you disappointed, boys, that Surrender are very strong in the seniors and on the edge of the top 5 and the reserves don't go down?
Yeah, I think it's probably disappointing for the competition and for the boys to have to miss out on a week of football twice a year. So in that aspect, it's disappointing, and then probably from a competition perspective as well, just having that extra team will probably provide a bit greater of a degree of competition.
Now, Sam, being a broadcaster, which I've been for a long time, I have unfortunately a propensity to put the mic on, I hope I don't, on people when I speak to them. But you guys are undefeated. They always say that every win you have, you're closer to your next defeat. How do you just concentrate on ticking off each win and then being ready for the finals and making sure you're playing your best footy come the finals? Because obviously you're going to be there now, you're undefeated with a massive percentage.
I just think it's about being honest, taking every game on its merits and playing each opposition as if they're the second best team on the ladder. I don't think we can go into a game that we know, that we think that we're going to win with such a strong competition.
Good on you, boys. Really appreciate you joining us today at St Andrews Brewery. You're having an outstanding year, both of you. The team's having a great year, and good luck in the run into the finals. And we'll no doubt talk to you again soon. Thanks so much for joining us on the GameFace Footy Show.
Thanks for having us.
Pleasure. Bailey Breen and Sam Sturt, 2 of the stars, and Sam is leading the goal kicking in the under-19 competition at the moment, and his team, Mount Eliza, on top of the table. And as Tony said, Bailey's playing a lot of senior footy with Mount Eliza firmly ensconced in the top 3 at the moment. Back with more of the GameFace Footy Show very shortly. We'll of course recap Division 1. We'll look at Division 1 Team of the Week with Chris Holcomb. We'll also look at Josh's Under-19 Team of the Week, and we'll have a quick preview of the rest of the games in this round of Division 1 next week, and another round of footy in Division 2. All still to come on the GameFace Footy Show. Best players in Division 2 for the GameFace Player of the Year. And Tyrone Head of Rye, 2 to go to 28. He leads quickly of Dramana on 27. Jake Mould of Red Hill had a great day to go to 27. Equal second, Jai Lloyd. It's very tight at the top. 1 to go to 26. And Brendan Doyle of Tired had a terrific day, Brendan Doyle, in Tired's big win. He's on 26. In the reserves best, Scott Sterling of Rye on 28. Lucas Licht of Devon Meadows, 26. Dane Layden Kozakis of Dramana on 24. And Cody Weir of Hastings on 23. The under-19s best players in second division. Tristan Giuliano of Chelsea. He is streeting the field. He's on 45. Lockie Cox Tyab, 31. Brad Tilley, Devon Meadows, 30. From his teammate from Devon Meadows, Nathan McLean on 29. And Will Hose of Tyab on 28.
Websites, videos, Google marketing, SEO. What do you need for your business? Call the team at Chill, they really know their stuff.
The GameFace best players in the first division for the seniors. Greg Bentley of Rosebud on 33, they play this week. Leads his teammate Sean Downey of Rosebud on 30, Carl Hutchison 28, Matt Teresh of Seaford 27, and Paul Scanlon, the veteran from Pines, on 27. They play again this week as well against Seaford. In the reserves in First Division, Ben Sharman of the Frankston Bombers on 31, Luke Black has joined him from Frankston YCW on 31, Shane Cochrane of Bomb Beach is on 27, Jared Douglas, Bomb Beach 26, and making up the top 5 from Pines, Jacob Beggs 24. In the under-19 best in First Division, Lyndon Raka from Seaford on 29, 2 in front of Tom Baker from Frankston YCW. He's on 27, Carl Daff of Seaford 26, Mitchell Sharrar from Rosebud 26, and Nick Sakalis of Rosebud on 26. This is the GameFace Footy Show live from St Andrews Brewery, and it's wonderful to be here. They're great supporters of us and having a lovely time. as we get ready for another round of footy this weekend in the Mornington Peninsula Football Netball League. We've got a new segment though called Memory Lane, and we needed a guinea pig last week, and we thought, why not a man who's a regular panellist on our show, been involved in this competition for a long time and has had a lot of success premiership-wise as a player and coach, in Tony Blackford. And Blackers, you'll be going out interviewing a lot of people.
Yeah, well,
and we'll get the public too, Blackers, who will be telling you and telling all of us who they want to interview, but you've got a lot of people you want to interview too.
Yeah, and over 30 odd years, I've met a lot of people, I've had a lot of great relationships with, and I just think, you know, going back to the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, there's a lot of people that I can go back and touch base with and talk to them about their football history and what they did and all that sort of stuff, Dan. So I just thought it'd be a great segment to go down memory lane and just reminisce with a couple of old friends.
Oh, that'll be fantastic. We look forward to that. Now, here's a snippet of what you and I spoke about, and we concentrated on the premierships, which meant it went for a long time because there were a lot of them over a long period of time. But here's an example.
When you play in 5 premierships all up as a coach and a player, and 237 games, you're involved with 3 clubs, Berwick when they were in the competition, the Frankston Bombers and also Sorrento, you deserve to be called a legend. You had a great career.
I had a wonderful career.
Any regrets?
No regrets. But those days back in the VFA days, when they had massive crowds and it was a great competition.
The fact that you beat a team that you were obviously the underdogs against, you must be really satisfied still to this day, 27 years later.
Yeah, it is, and the friendships that you make from back then, you know, the guys that used to play on and against, and they're good distant memories, you know. So 91, yeah, wonderful, because the Frankston Bombers hadn't been successful for a long time.
Great stuff, and if you want to watch all that interview, why wouldn't you, with one of the greats of the Mornington Peninsula Football Netball League, or Mornington Nepean Peninsula Football Netball League. It's changed its name, of course, this year with the 2 divisions. Tony Blackford, you can download it on the GameFace record app, and of course you can also go on the Facebook page and tell myself or Blackers or Glenn, the man who looks after us all here, who you want Blackers to interview. And of course, as we said, Blackers has got a whole lot of people he'd like to interview as well. Talking of getting comments from the public, let's get Chris Holcomb's Team of the Week for Division 1. It's pretty hard, Chris, when you've only had 4 teams play, but you've had some good comments from last week. I reckon everyone's pretty happy with the team he came up with last week.
The first one wasn't too bad. Yeah, a few little comments, but look, I'll run through them quickly for you, mate.
Yep.
From the back line, Stevie Mannix, Benny North over, as we spoke about, another cracking game, best on ground on Saturday. Lockie Street flicked around, he's gone 4 the last 2 weeks, kicked 3 and 4. Just a star, that kid, going to be a star. Frank's will be VFL next year for sure.
You keep saying that.
I mean, if he doesn't go...
So you got him in the back pocket, but he's playing up the ground a bit.
He played for me in the Inner League in back pocket, was best on ground.
How old is he?
19. And he's played the first 7 games back. They switched him forward when they were struggling. He's gone 3, 4, bang, bang. So he's just a gripping kid. Half back line, Marston from Sereno, Walker Miller and Brett O'Hanlon, Editha. Centre lines, James Hallahan, Paul Scanlon, Lukey Potts from Pines. Half forward line is Sammy Fox, Greg Bentley and Dale Sutton from Frankston. Forward line, is Aaron Edwards in. We got Jordan Moncrief at Mount Eliza and Jimmy Freeman at Mount Eliza as well. Good young forward line. Rucks, Dean Terrich from Seaford, Kyle Hutchison from YC, Sean Downey, my love child from Rosebud. Interchange bench, Potts, Debenham, Mitch Hallahan, Ongarello and Miller.
So we'd love to get your views on that on the GameFace Facebook. So let's take a break and we'll come back with Josh Moore's Division 2 Under-19's Team of the Week and a preview of another big round of footy. This is the GameFace Footy Show. Dynamic Staffing Solutions. We act immediately to supply your business with quality staffing and labour solutions. Are you looking for new ways to promote your business? Well, why not advertise on the GameFace Footy Show? Packages start from as little as $500, which include commercials on the show, naming rights to segments, infomercials in the app and more. And if you really want to get noticed, you could become the major sponsor of the show. Packages are limited, so contact GameFace now to get started by going to www.gamefaceon.com.au. Well, the segment that has created the most interest from the public, certainly created the most criticism, has been the Under-19 Division 2 Team of the Week.
Not so much the senior one, Dan.
No,
is it?
it's the young kids.
Because they get on the app a little bit more than the senior blokes.
They do, and there's been some other people that haven't been happy about players not getting in their team and players being left out of their team, and they're saying that why have you picked this guy, why haven't you picked this guy, and poor old Josh has been out of the pub. So Josh, I don't know how you feel about that, but the pressure's on.
Well, I'm loving the feedback I get on Facebook most nights. When I get 5 minutes to myself, sit on the couch and have a look at all the comments, and
feel good.
Oh, I'm not sure if I feel good, but I do
Have a
enjoy
giggle,
I have a giggle. You can't keep everyone happy. There's
No, you can't.
quite a few teams, quite a few players, and unfortunately I can't get out to all those games. So I do rely on the best players that are on the website a little bit, and I always like to look at the kids that are playing in the seniors, because that's also going to help their cause in getting in the team of the week. So just while we're on that, we did have a couple of Red Hill comments from the first team of the week for
Were
Div
they all
2.
positive, were they? Or?
I wouldn't say positive, no. Obviously, Red Hill are on top in the under-18s. They're going really well.
Undefeated.
But they haven't got a heap of kids playing in the seniors. They've got, obviously...
Shay Mitchell?
Shay Mitchell's gone overseas, as I did know about before I put the post on last time. But his first 7 games were really good. But Red Hill played on Sunday. They played Dramana. So Red Hill won by 122 points in the under-19s. But unfortunately, their results weren't up on the website, so I couldn't put any Red Hill kids.
Danny Mongan, I'll tell you what.
Danny
He's
Mongan.
back from overseas.
Why didn't they put it up?
Well, there's no results.
It's not that hard, is
There's no results on there, so unfortunately, to all the Red Hill kids out there, you have to get into your team manager and get him to get the results up there, so I can put you into the team. Okay, so the team from the back line for Division 2 under-19s. We have Kalani Ryan, Smith and Martin. The half back line is Harms, Topleskay and Jackson Allen, who comes into the team. Aidan Markazani on the wing, Rosen and Daniel on the other wing. Half forward line, there is a Red Hill kid that comes in this week.
Markazani's from Red Hill, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Well, there's already a couple in there, yeah. But
Any relation?
To Frank?
No idea, but Sanford from Red Hill comes into the team on the forward flank after some really good form in the under-19s. Billy Gertz at centre-half forward, and another new player, Ryan McNamara from Kringle, after some really good form, and got in the best in the seniors on the week, so well done to Ryan. Forward line is Robbins, Whitford and Shannon Reid from Langy, who's another player in sensational form in the under-19s, kicked another bag 7. In the ruck, Liam O'Halloran, Jack Hill and Ned Shannon. And the big 6-man bench. I might have to extend it from 6 to about 16.
So Ned Shannon played.
So that all the Red Hill boys can get
some Red Hill boys in there and keep everyone happy. But I'm going with 6 this week. So we've got Matty Garn, Brad Williams, Foy, Treep, Villala, and another inclusion, Max Irwin from Somerville after playing the last 3 games in the seniors, who's obviously having a good year.
And Matty Garn too, mate, he's playing at Stingrays.
He's at Stingrays.
Ned Shannon, he's been playing at Stingrays but got in crib points best in the seniors this week.
Which is great for them because they're starting to blood some of their young boys, as Mark Lawton said, the Vice President of Crib Point last week when we went and paid a visit to the Magpies. Now, let's look at our tips for this weekend's round of footy in Division 2. Match of the round, clearly, gentlemen, Chelsea
What a big game.
Kringle, second against third.
Yep.
You had Chelsea last week, Josh. Can they beat Kringle at home?
As I said before earlier in the show, I am a massive fan of Chelsea. It's going to be a ripping game, second versus third. But having seen Chelsea firsthand recently, I'm certainly going to back them in to beat Kringle.
Especially when it's at home too. It's at Chelsea, it's going to be at Chelsea. But Kringle would be in familiar grounds because they've been playing against each other quite regularly. Chelsea's been the dominant side when you compare Chelsea and Kringle
in Peninsula.
Yeah, the last few years. So I'd be just leaning just towards Chelsea in a real tight game down.
I'll take Kringle, mate. I think that they're a step above Chelsea. I think Chelsea played out of their skin last week to do that right, and then Kringle will take care of it.
Dramana should beat Crib Point?
Yes.
Yeah, it should.
Yeah, Dramana will bounce back, and their form's been outstanding. They got overrun in the last quarter last week, but up until then they were 19, 20 points up, weren't they?
And if we're going to be honest, Crib Point is really the one team that's really struggling in our division at the moment. Hopefully they can turn it around, but they're coming up against Dramana, who are coming off a loss. I'm pretty sure Ricky Johnson will be getting them up and about for this week.
Can Rye beat Devon Meadows, Chris? They need to.
They should.
Their last three.
I don't think Morey would be too happy with them copping that beating last week. I think they'll cop a spray on the track and come out pretty hard on their home deck. Hopefully Rye can get over it, but I'll tip Rye.
How confident are you, John?
Well, we're actually playing Devon at Devon this week, and Devon, they're one of those teams that are hard to beat out there, but our backs are against the wall. There's no second chances for us now. We really have to just win our next 4 games, really, to keep ourselves in it.
Josh, you just need to keep winning, and that's the focus on your boys this week on the track, and obviously Tommy Baker injured himself, so he's going to be a 50-50 chance to get up this week, Dan. So, yeah, I'd like to think that poor old Devon, their form, they've lost to Crib Point and they've lost to Tyab. I think that Rye's got too many good quality players to let this one slip.
Langwarren and Tyab should be a fascinating game. I mean, Langwarren have been a team that have got close, and Tyab, well, they were brilliant last week.
Well, for me, Langwarren have been probably the most disappointing side there. I expected more out of Langwarren this year. Their junior pool, like Mount Eliza, is huge. They've got some good players on the park. I think they've lost a lot of close ones they should have won. They will get over Tyab this week, I think. But yeah, I really expected more out of Langwarren this year so far.
Yeah, they need to win, and they need to start, like I said to Josh, they've had a bit of a gap now. The last 6, 7 and 8, and Red Hill, who are on 22 points, there's a 6-point gap against these teams now.
They need to keep winning, don't they? Pearsdale won their 3rd game of the season. They beat Hastings. They sort of won it in the 2nd quarter. Hastings is a pretty good side, though, boys, aren't they? So you expect them to win because they know that the finals are where they want to be, and they just need to keep winning.
It was a good win for Hastings last week.
Wonderful win, especially with Foster out, and I think they've got a few other injuries. Another player who's come to the club, Redmond, he's been in outstanding form, but I think he's gone overseas.
I believe he's going overseas, yes, that's going to be a big blow for him. Foster won't be back. Pearsdale coming off the win, but I think Hastings got too much class for Pearsdale.
And a big game, we've just had Chris Fawcett, the president of Somerville, on. They need to keep winning to keep their chances alive, but Red Hill are playing pretty good footy, and they know that if they also keep winning, they should stay in front of those other teams looking for a spot in the top 5.
I think that win on the weekend would have given a lot of confidence, and I think they should get over Somerville.
Yeah, Somerville, like Langwarren and Rye, their season is on the line. But Red Hill's form is pretty hard to beat, but I think Red Hill will get the job done.
Yeah.
Okay, what about Division 1 before we finish? There are 3 matches to complete the round. We've got Pines up against Seaford. Pines are flying. You wonder whether missing a week, Chris, might stifle the momentum, but with someone like Aaron Edwards back in the side and Seaford on the bottom of the ladder, they can't afford to let go of this slip.
Probably the opposite. I think that the bye would have helped blokes like Paul Scanlon, Aaron Edwards, Tim Bolghetti, Hotzi's getting 4:30. Their older players need that week off. They've got back. I reckon that their mid-season form is fantastic, and they'll clean up Seaford pretty easily, I reckon.
Seaford beat them first time.
Yeah, they did, but I think Pines are a much better side since then. In fact, we know they're a much better side. Mornington and Rosebud. Mornington playing all right, your old team, Chris, and I drove past it on my way here, and my long route in finding my way here today, which I eventually got here. But Rosebud, we spoke to their current president, Lockie, and their former president, Ian. They were down at Rye last week. It's great to catch up with them, and they're sort of happy with the way the team's progressing, but this could be a 50-50 game, I would have thought.
It is, like a lot of the ones in First Division, especially around that bottom end of the table. Mornington will be pretty filthy on that first round loss, where they probably had the majority of the ball. But Rosebud, they've been fighting. They beat YC, they've had a couple of great wins, but Mornington on the home deck should get this one.
I think
are they getting a few back, Chris?
They are starting to gradually get a few back. Their ruckman stocks, which were 0, are now back to 2 or 3, so that's a huge help.
I think Mornington will really improve in the second half.
I think they will too.
Yeah, and I think they'll get the job done.
Now, I'm certain that at the end of the game, Steve Hughes and particularly Graham Yates won't be shaking hands with each other, because this was the game early in the year where Edithvale Aspendale cleaned up Bond Beach, but Bond Beach said that they had gone over the points and they lost the points and they lost the percentage Edithvale Aspendale, which will always be something that might trouble them in the run into the finals, but we think they're good enough to be there. They should win at home, shouldn't they?
Definitely.
They won by 7 goals last time, but lost their points.
They did, and that side, they were flying. I saw that game, and I tipped them to go very close to the flag. I thought they were a top 2 side that day.
Yeah.
Their form's been a little bit patchy, but they've had a few
Pretty
out.
good against Sorrento. I thought that was a great match.
Yeah, look, I don't doubt that they'll beat Sorrento come finals time if they get their foot on the park, and they've just got to get that mix.
They've got
right.
as good a list as YC, haven't they?
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
The players that they recruited in the off-season.
It's probably the best recruiting drive I've seen for a while. And they had blokes walking. That's why they had trouble with their points, because they actually had people coming to them that they didn't actively recruit. That's why they went over their points. So that's a great situation to have. If they get their list management right, they should be right.
The loss of Bomb Beach had last week against the week before against Pines was a huge loss, wasn't it?
Oh, that just flattens your whole club.
Yeah.
I mean, that really puts you down. Like, they'll do some soul searching, but I think Sykes said the week before that they'd done soul searching a week before that. So I don't know where they go from there. So
Double soul searching.
Well,
Can you double soul search as a coach?
I don't know. I don't think you can. But we'll see how they go anyway. But I don't know. I think it'll be a long day for the Bomb Beach boys.
Thank you, boys. It's been great bringing the show to you from the St Andrews Brewery. Had a wonderful time. We thank them for their support, and we hope that you can make your way down to St Andrews and enjoy a lovely brew. And we've enjoyed the strapper down here today. Even the great man Tony Blackford doesn't normally drink, has had a lovely time as well.
Lovely brew.
It has been a lovely brew, and we thank you for being part of the show once again. We thank you.
The strappers have been looking after us.
He's enjoyed the strapper.
Well, it's a strapper. That's what it's called.
Yeah,
the strapper.
Wow.
It's sort of it's the Lee Friedman thing, isn't it? With his property just down the road, of course. The former champion trainer who sort of retired from that. He was one of the all-time greats, wasn't he, for a long, long time, and trained a lot of Melbourne Cup winners and a lot of other Group 1 winners over the years. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll be back again next week with another GameFace footy show. Good luck to your teams this week. May the best team win. And Barry Michael, who has had a lovely time over in Vegas, even though Jeff Horn didn't get the job done, will also rejoin us as we try and promote the No Regrets Boxing Challenge as part of the GameFace footy show. Catch you next week.